Hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a very good and insightful day so far. But before I begin, I would just like to give thanks to Workbeam and its entire team for giving me this opportunity to present my topic and be part of Career Fiesta 2020. So, yeah, let's begin. First off, I would just like to introduce myself. I'm Gian Wong. I'm a 24-year-old graphic designer and illustrator. So here's my work in a nutshell. My portfolio comprises of colorful type-based design that spans across branding and visual identity, print and packaging, publishing, and merch design. So yeah, that's me and my work. And right now, let's get into the topic. Merch Making 101, Designing for Products and Everyday Things. So in this presentation, hopefully you will be able to learn about what you need to know before designing a merch, some tips and tricks in conceptualizing a product, and how to promote like a boss. So just a quick disclaimer, I am not a retail expert, a businessman, or a product designer, but I do have a few experiences in designing custom merchandise, and what I'll be sharing would be some of my personal notes, learnings, and insights that I would like to share if you're planning to create some merchandise that you would like to sell in the future. So yeah, part one, what is a custom merchandise? A custom merchandise is a product that is designed with a unique illustration or graphic, usually intended to be sold for a limited time or in limited quantity to promote a brand, a person, organization, or even an event, etc. A very good example would be YouTubers or vloggers. So, di ba, yung mga sikat na YouTubers, they create or customize their own merchandise and sell it to their fans or sell it to on their website and promote it on their vlogs or videos on YouTube. So basically, um, they create these items that are unique to them or that they personally designed so that their fans could avail of it and in a way connect to their fans. And a good indicator that makes a merchandise customized is when the person or the brand attaches his or her name to the product or item that they're trying to sell. But not all custom merchandise are intended to be sold. Some brands, companies, or organizations give these away for free to their most loyal customers, to their audience, or to their employees. Their main goal in doing this is to promote their brand and to make their products memorable to their customers. So, why should you make one? It is a way for your audience to take a little piece of yourself or your brand and make it part of their daily lives. So, in a way, this helps you connect to your audience or to your fans in a different level by giving them a tangible item or product that they could keep and be reminded of your influence or your impact to them. And according to a survey in the United States, $24.7 billion worth of promotional products were sold in 2018. So actually, people really like buying merch, buying merch from their idols or to celebrities or people they admire and they want to support. And of course, for extra income. So this is really important, especially in times of need and even crisis like what we are experiencing right now. All right, part two, where do I start? So you start with building and knowing your audience first. Because like all businesses, selling products has its risks and does not guarantee 100% profit and return of investment. The best way to make sure your merch will sell out is to find an audience that will resonate with the designs or artworks you create, and then try to identify what they like about your work or what they're liking so far and observe those patterns. So, the most common way to build and find your audience is simply by sharing and putting your work out there. So, di naman makikita ng audience mo yung work mo if syempre hindi mo siya post online. So, It's a good way to market and promote your work through social media channels like Facebook and Instagram so that your work remains discoverable and your work can be seen by people from anywhere in the world. And when you've done that, continuously share your artworks or designs and even your work in progress snippets of the projects you're working on right now and get feedback or reactions from your audience or followers so that you can use that information to improve your product or your merch. Next, get your hands dirty. If you're an artist or a designer or a person without enough business or marketing knowledge, I recommend reading up or at least talk to other people who have the experience. I know that numbers are daunting if you are a creative person, but it's very important to be smart and strategic in your expenses, pricing, and quantity to ensure that you get a good return of investment. So this endeavor, hindi naman siya basta-basta tapos iwiwing mo na lang and then bahala na kung makabenta or makabawi dun sa ininvest. Because if you miscalculate your expenses, your pricing, and even the quantity or your overall strategy, um, kapag hindi mo siya nabenta or people did not um, resonate with your merchandise or product, then that money is gone. So, hindi mo na siya mababawi. That's why you have to really get to know and read up on some business concepts or strategies that you could use so that hindi naman masayang yung money na ininvest mo or the effort that you put into designing and conceptualizing your merch. Next, know the tools of the trade. There are a variety of items and materials that you can design or brand: shirts, bags, bottles, stickers, stationery, and each one has its own requirements and specifications when transferring your design from digital to physical. One example would be t-shirt printing. So before you decide to have your designs printed on a t-shirt, you have to know first yung mga specifications. Gusto mo ba silk screen, direct to garment? So for silk screen printing, in this process, gumagamit sila ng textile paint and then each color for your design is applied one by one. So it's very important to know that when you're designing for silkscreen printing, wala dapat mga tiny details or mga thin lines or thin spaces kasi chances are baka mag-bleed through yung paint on. So that's one limitation of silk screen printing. And when you prepare your files, dapat lahat ng yellows, iisa lang yung value, lahat ng reds or yung blues or kahit ano pang colors, dapat iisa lang yung value because mag-iba lang ng konti yung color value niya, that's another color na or that's another paint. And mas mahal siya if mas maraming colors when you're trying to produce a silk screen printed t-shirt. For direct to garment, mas madali naman ito kasi kahit anong design yung gawin mo or artwork, kahit marami siyang details or whatnot, iba-iba yung color and values. It's easier kasi directly, yun nga, yung printer will print yung design dun sa garment or dun sa t-shirt. So this one is easier, but the quality is different from silkscreen. So you have to first find out what you prefer so that when you create your merch and then your customers get the merch, hindi sila mag-expect. So it's very important that you communicate what type of print you're gonna sell to your customers. For fabric and textile naman, may tinatawag tayong Pantone TCX color chart. So what is Pantone ba? Pantone is a standard color language used around the world. So basically, Pantone creates different codes or different shades of colors to match yung color na gusto mo. So it's a standard you use to find out or to know kung ano ba yung gusto mong shade na ma-achieve dun sa item or product na gusto mong gawin. So for fabric and textile, they use yung Pantone TCX or Textile Edition. So you use this Pantone color book to find yung gusto mong shade for textile kasi iba yung shade or codes for print, iba din yung for textile or for fabric. And if you want to create, for example, mga carpets, rugs, or blankets, you use this chart to find out what color you need and want, and you have to match it with the color that you're using in your design or artwork. Another example is sticker printing naman. You have to know what type of finish or texture you want dun sa final printed sticker. So gusto mo ba matte and smooth or glossy and shiny, or if you want, merong holographic effect na ganyan, or even mga gold and silver stamps. So these are things that you have to consider and communicate dun sa supplier nyo para makapture yung quality na ini-aim nyo. That's why it's very important to communicate with your supplier and get their recommendations for the type of material or process in printing your design, kasi more often than not, alam na nila yan and they're the experts in that process. So don't be afraid to ask questions or suggestions from them. Also, always ask for a sample before having them mass-produced. Kasi mamaya, pag pinaproduce mo na yan agad without seeing a sample of it printed, baka magulat ka na pangit pala yung kalabasan niya and sayang naman yung pera na ginastos mo for it. So, be sure to check and ask yung best material and type of process for the um, type or quality na hinahanap mo doon sa merge na gagawin mo. What ifs or the burning questions that might be holding you back in designing your own merch. So, what if I'm not tech savvy? What if I don't have the funds? What if I don't reach my target sales? So, first, what if I'm not tech savvy? In this era, there are a lot of available platforms that can help you create a design and start selling your own merch. One platform I recommend is Canva. So this is not sponsored, disclaimer lang. But Canva is an online design tool that packs everything you need to create beautiful designs. They have thousands of ready-made templates, fonts, photos, and graphics to choose from. So you can even directly have your designs printed by them and delivered to your door. So just because hindi ka designer or hindi ka marunong mag-Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator, hindi ka artsy or hindi ka creative, hindi ka na makakagawa ng custom merch mo. You still can, and Canva can help you do that with the ready-made templates and graphics na magagamit mo sa design na gusto mong i-print sa custom merch mo. For other platforms naman, if you want to take your merch collection to the next level, you could use Squarespace. Squarespace allows you to create your own website without design or coding knowledge and help you sell your products online with your own website. So, di ba, mas professional siyang tignan if you have your own website and then nandun yung merch mo. Another platform I would recommend is Society 6. So if you're a small business and you want to start small, Society 6 is very helpful because their items are all made to order. So ang gagawin mo lang is upload your artwork or design and then check mo if you want it applied on a t-shirt, a phone case, a bag, shoe, for example, and a lot of different products that they have in the platform. And then if a customer, for example, orders one t-shirt from your Society 6 shop, then Society 6 handles the printing and production of that one t-shirt for that one customer only. So ang laki ng matitipid mo because it's very affordable and very convenient. Kasi hindi ka na mag-invest sa bulk orders of t-shirts. Kasi Society 6 handles na yung delivery and then yung production of that one item na in-order lang. So ang ano lang is merong specific percentage na mapupunta kay Society 6, but the bigger chunk of the sale sa'yo naman mapupunta. Next, what if I don't have the funds? More often than not, suppliers require a minimum quantity or bulk orders in order to maximize the tools and equipment that will be used to produce your merch mo. And it can be a huge amount of money. And if you don't have enough to fund your merch, I suggest you find an investor. And by investor, I don't mean na kailangan business tycoon talaga tapos ipipitch mo yung idea mo sa buong company. No. It could be just your friend, your parents, your siblings even, and basta willing sila mag-shell out ng cash or ng money to support your product, and that would be okay. That would be very helpful for you to start. Just pitch the idea to them, and if they believe na magiging successful yung product mo, and then they might invest dun sa like merch mo. Another suggestion, if you don't have the funds to produce your merch, is to make brands notice you. So, napansin ko ang ginagawa ng mga designers or artists is yung mga design nila, sinasalpak nila sa specific branded product. For example, Nike sneaker. So, mock up nila yung design nila dun sa sneaker, and they tag Nike hoping to be noticed and hoping that Nike will book them for a collaboration kasi makita nila na, oo, ang ganda ng design nito dun sa sapatos natin. So, I suggest you do that, like create designs and then mock it up sa mga products ng mga brands na gusto nyo maka-work. And who knows, they might notice your work and book you for a collaboration. Next, what if I don't reach my target sales? Unfortunately, not all ideas or products will work with your audience. And sometimes, you have to learn that the hard way. Kasi a lot of possible factors come into play when you invest in something like this. What you can do is to repurpose the items left into something else that will still benefit you or your brand. So you could create a giveaway promo to increase your following, or send free items to your top supporters or most loyal customers, so that you could create more rapport with them and you could still continue to engage with them. You could even donate them for a cause. Basta wag niyong itapon, don't throw them away if hindi siya bumenta and maraming sobra. Just learn from your mistake, but don't throw them away. You could still repurpose it for something else that would still help you or your brand. Oh wells, or the things that you might learn along the way. Number one, your customers are not always your audience. So yung following mo or your followers does not equate to your customers. Di ibig sabihin na fina-follow ka nila, automatic customer mo na sila. They could be your customer, but it's not 100% na bibili nila yung product mo just because you created something they like into a merch, kasi sometimes they would not prefer to buy an item, for example, and there are just a lot of factors to consider. But your customers could range outside of your following or your audience. So remember that. Offer it to them and don't make it super exclusive to your following because sometimes they're not automatically your customers. Number two, your merch will not always be what you imagine. So sometimes, pag nag-design ka ng merch, ito siya, syempre, ang ganda, okay. So, invested ka na talaga dun sa design mo, and then, when you talk to your supplier, malalaman mo mahirap palang ma-produce ng ganito, and then, kailangan magbawas ng color, for example, kailangan palitan to, ganyan, i-adjust. So, expect na there might be changes kasi sometimes talaga there are limitations in the production of your merch. Well, that depends on the supplier, of course, and dun sa item. But expect that your merch will not always be what you imagine it to be, and you just have to adjust and adapt to what you need or to what the supplier offers you. And lastly, you won't always get 100% return of investment. Sometimes, even if you did your homework or have a foolproof strategy for your product, you might find yourself not fully getting back what you invested. Because what you can really expect is that the market is always changing and customers' preferences are also changing. And what you can do is learn from that experience and just improve your next merch. Part 3 for some final notes. Just be you and be authentic. So don't change your interests or likes just to suit your audience or what they like or what is currently trending. Just stay true to your brand and what you like, and the right audience will find you. Number two, study, evaluate, and review. Again, get your hands dirty, learn about the different platforms, concepts, and tools available to help you in your merch making journey. Number three, engage and make friends. Don't be afraid to connect with your followers, ask them what they like and what they think about your merch. Also, talk with other makers to get tips, and who knows, you might find other possible collaborators. Number four, and the most important thing, is don't forget to have fun. Don't let the work and stress of merch making get the best of you. Just enjoy the process of making something you designed. And with that, I just want to share now a few of the projects that helped me learn about this stuff and the importance of the tips I mentioned in this presentation. So way back, super pangarap ko talaga magka-postcard set na mabebenta sa National Bookstore because before, I was able to purchase a postcard set from a design studio whose works I really admire. And so I wanted to achieve that as well. Luckily, dahil sa pag-post ko ng work sa Instagram, the publishing company was able to connect with me to produce a box of postcards to be sold in National Bookstore. Next, Zodiac Sign Stationery. Because I love making tangible items from my digital artworks, I've been joining in a lot of art cons and I found out that people are really into astrology or star signs because one of the best sellers in my catalog was the Zodiac sign stickers and card prints I designed. Next, as a product of sharing my work again online, Uniqlo was able to find my work and I was lucky enough to be picked to design a shirt collection with them. So please just put your work out there and make brands notice you. Up next is my favorite collab to date, where I learned the importance of engaging with people online. So one day I purchased a rug from an online home decor store and I decided to share what the rug looked like in my room. They loved it so much and they started checking out my Instagram feed and na-discover nila na I'm a graphic designer. So they liked my work and they offered to produce my designs as home decor. So sobrang dream come true nito kasi I would never even have the funds to produce home decor kasi super kailangan ng bulk orders and minimum quantity for this. But because of online presence, I was able to score this opportunity with them. And here's the latest custom merch I designed and produced myself, the Go Tote, which is still available by the way if you'd like to get one. But I just wanted to share here the importance of having fun and being you. I've always wanted to own a tote bag that had different vibrant colors and not just the plain canvas fabric that does not really speak to my brand. So finally, I was able to make it true and me being me paid off because it got a lot of great feedback, thankfully. And yeah, I guess that wraps up my presentation about merch making. I hope you learned a thing or two about it, and hopefully now you're ready to create your own custom merchandise. Thanks for tuning in, and if you want to check out my work, go to Instagram at Giancarlo Wong or my website gianwong.com, and for my merch at gianwong.shop on Instagram as well. Thanks everyone.
Oh man, what a presentation and what a great inspiration for designers and even aspiring designers who are with us today. All right, so let's give it up again for Mr. Giancarlo Wong. So,
Thank you.
yes, thank you, sir. And by the way, Cass told us that she is a big fan of your work, and Mr. Carlo Wong, and has been following your IG account for a while now. And so to those who haven't followed Gian yet, I highly encourage you guys to do so. He makes really good work, really good work. And also, Canva is on later today at 3 p.m. for those of you guys who don't know. And if you're pursuing a career in design, I think it's the best time to get noticed for it. 3 p.m. guys, 3 p.m. Canva, and they also have over 40 jobs available right now. So don't miss the chance to meet their recruiters later and ask them anything about Canva. It's your time, guys. So I can't wait to be there myself, and I'll see you guys there later. So again, thank you, Mr. Giancarlo Wong, for taking some time off your busy schedule and for talking to our audience here at Workbean. I'm sure the audience here has a lot of really good questions, and let's just jump right to it. Okay. Okay, guys.
Sure.
Gian Carlo will now address your questions.
Thanks, Sam, and thanks again, Workbean, for having me. It's a pleasure to speak with a lot of participants right now. And sige, I'll jump in the questions na. So I'll start with the anonymous ones. So one question was, what school kayo graduate? So I graduated from APOA, so Multimedia Arts and Sciences. So last 2017. Yes, Viva Mapua. And next question, how can you start when you're intimidated from the other talented individuals? So this one is a hard pill to swallow, but I also had this question way back when I was in college. Na I was seeing a lot of other more talented individuals than me, but I then realized that there are a lot of beautiful things in the world. So you have to appreciate lang na yung product no and yung product ng yung isang person is different, and yours can be both beautiful, so parehas maganda ganyan, but in different ways. So I guess just don't super compare na lang yung work mo with them, and also never compare yung amount of followers, for example, or yung amount of fame and exposure ng isang tao to yours. So just remember that um, a lot of things nga can be beautiful, and your work can be as beautiful as others' work. So yun lang. And another question was, oh, is it possible na you'll conduct a talk for UST College of Fine Arts next year on February for CFAD Week? Yes, please send me the details. Um, could be on IG or on my email, hello@gianwong.com, and I'll check. But definitely, I could make time for this. Thank you for considering me. Next question: is direct garment the same as heat press? No. Direct to garment printing is yung printer prints dun sa fibers mismo nung, for example, t-shirt. So like nandun na talaga siya. When yung heat press kasi, di ba may cutout siya, and then you just use heat para dumikit yung parang sticker or vinyl dun sa shirt. And parang may makapal na feeling na mababakbak siya kapag tumagal. But in direct to garment, yun nga, ina-absorb siya ng isang fiber. So, mas permanent siya and mas matibay versus heat press. Next, I want to be a good graphic designer, but seems like I need to learn a lot. It is so overwhelming. What is your advice? Um, I guess you have to first read a lot. So especially about graphic design and concept. So when you've mastered that kasi, magiging muscle memory siya. And then when you're designing, hindi ka na mahihirapan to do design decisions kasi you have a bank of knowledge of what to use. Like if you want to, for example, you're making an announcement design, you'll know easily what you have to um, make make big, or yung kung ano yung malaking element na gusto mong i-emphasize, what color you could use since it's an announcement. Like, nagkakaroon eventually ng design thinking towards your output. So it's very important to know the fundamentals first before like jumping into actual designing and getting overwhelmed by the trends and yung styles. So very important na you start with the basics. So there's a lot of ano naman online, like resources. Up next, um, it looks like no one wants my design, but I love designing though. What can be your advice? Help. I guess you have to reevaluate first. Why yung people na you're basing on kung bakit ayaw nila yung design mo. Like you said, like no one wants your design. You have to check or know, like get their pulse why they think it's like this, or you could get critique from I don't know, your other designer friends if you have some, or other, or your design idols, for example. I guess I'm sure they'd be willing to help out. um but I guess just try to keep improving and developing. Like if you think na your design is not getting the traction that you want, or the feedback that you want, I guess you could try to experiment more and think about other ways you could mix up yung quality ng work. And then there's one, it's not a question. I love your design. Thank you so much for that. And next one, I have some illustrations, but I'm not sure if I should start selling them. When do you know if it's the right time to sell? Do you gather supporters first? Um, I think you won't really know when is the right time to sell, because you haven't tried it. So I guess you'll know lang if you try. Excuse me. If you try to like sell, siguro start small, small batches lang. Pwedeng 1 to 5 pieces of this work, and check if your current following, your current audience are willing to buy from you, and then that's when you'll know it. And no, you don't have to gather supporters first, kasi susunod naman yan when with if you, for example, you have a small audience na, and if they're liking your product and they start parang talking about it, more people will discover your work. So I know a lot of designer friends who are like, for example, they only have 200 plus of audience, but grabe, like mas sold out yung mga merch nila. So you don't have to like gather ng or target 1K plus, because you only have to target yung people who would like appreciate and buy from you. Kasi like I said in the talk earlier, you can't equate yung following more your audience as your customers. So it's not equally connected in a way. So ayun. Another question, can we get a copy of your presentation? How can we get it? Yes, maybe I could send it to the work bean team. And if someone wants to request, I guess we could arrange something like get their emails, for example. And how to make your logo or design stand out in a very specific niche like barbecue resto without using the elements commonly used. Wow, so you're asking, may racket ka ba ng barbecue resto, and you're asking my strategy for it. Joke. But I guess, I know yun nga, may commonly used elements dito. For example, mga sticks and smokes, ganyan. Siguro, try to review first, like collect yung mga same direct competitors na barbecue or grilling restaurants. And then, see yung common denominator nila. And if you see na, yun nga, yung mga parehas, or yung elements commonly used, you stay away from that na. So at least you have a starting point na not like this one. And there's a lot of strategies you could use in creating logos or branding for restaurants. So one strategy would, why not use a metaphor naman? So not direct na barbecue or smoke or yung skewer. Try to parang have a different meaning, or the different signal to the restaurant. So could be a metaphor, or could be even a mascot na hindi kailangan barbecue. Could be something else that you could connect to it. So there's a lot of strategies for it, and very important to do some research na get the insights or parang learnings on what makes these very specific niche na barbecue resto, and maybe you could use yung qualities or yung description ng niche market na yon to brand yung restaurant. Hopefully, I answered it. So I know it's very vague, but at least you could maybe start with that to research more. And can you tell us your story and how you were able to collab with brands? So I think I covered it in the presentation, but with my experience, I think it really just starts with sharing your work out there and um, parang making your work get noticed by different brands. And yun, I guess sasunod na siya from there on kapag you just keep on sharing your work and you just engage with, kunyari, you have an idol, you want to work with this specific brand. If, for example, ako, if I want to work with this specific brand, sometimes I message them that I really like their brand, and you introduce yourself as a designer, and baka from then mag-spring out na you could have like a deal or something. You could explore some projects you could do together. So there's a lot of rewards in engaging with people and making friends online. Next, what's your tip for copywriting or content writing? How do you get inspired to design pretty words? So, okay, well, basically, first, I'm not a copywriter, so I'm a bit frustrated, but I do know, like, I have basic knowledge since they taught us that in college. But I guess you go back to the basics of copywriting, like know first yung brand or yung tone na gusto mong ma-capture. For example, if you want something bold and confident, or do you want something na very friendly lang and very reassuring, or sometimes you could go with something cheeky and witty. So yun lang. So you find your tone first, and you have to match your tone dun sa audience mo, kasi baka mamaya you went the witty or cheeky route, for example, yung angkas. And then your audience is not like that. So, syempre, magkakaroon na ng disconnect. So, very important to consider that, yung audience. The next, hello, I want to clarify lang. So, pwede po gamitin yung Canva for commissions. Kasi nagde-design po ako ng logo for businesses sa US, pero not legit business. Well, you could course this through Canvas session later for a more expounded answer. But for a short answer from me, yes, you could use it for commissions, because we have a lot of members in the Canva users community who actually get a lot of commissions from using Canva. So that's okay. And in terms of making your business legit, well, ano ba? Well, legally speaking, you should register, of course, to be on sa BIR for this one. But if it's not your, I guess, full-time gig, maybe could, and you don't really, kasi if hindi naman siya full-time and you only get like a very few projects per month, so it would be parang hard to manage yung bookkeeping and all that stuff. But I guess if you could, if you have the time, and if you could consider getting registered for a legit business, please do. So at least hindi tayo ma-flag ng BLR. Next, I use Photoshop po, pero minsan gusto ko rin i-try gumamit ng Canva for logo. Pero natatakot lang po ako baka may copyright issues. I guess you can use Canva naman. So as I said, tawag dito, like we have members who use it for commissions, and part of this yung creating logo designs for their clients. So it's good to communicate na rin sa client na you used Canva for this. For example, like lalo na if ano siya, small business, mas safe yun. Kasi if ano siya, like very big corporation, yun yung mas you should worry, kasi there might be copyright issues kasi lalo na if corporation siya and mahirap yung legal stuff doon. And you could also check out yung media license agreement ng Canva. So I'll link it here. So you get more idea of how yung royalties or yung copyright issues work with their assets. And also again, you could force through the question with their session kasi they have more knowledge on this one. Next question. What do you do when your client doesn't agree with you? Are clients always right? Um, no, clients aren't always right from my experience. You just have my tip would be you just have to like um explain to them yung impact. Very important to explain to them the impact. For example, may gusto silang change and you have to and then you don't agree with their decision. You have to explain to them what could be the impact of this decision, and if nagets nila and they still want to push through, that will be on them na. So you don't have to push naman yung gusto mo. So they're still the final decision makers. But your job is to explain to them the whys and hows. Yun, so very important that you communicate yung solutions na gusto mong ibigay and yung impact or pwedeng outcomes ng mga gusto rin nilang gawin. So it's important that you meet eye to eye or meet halfway on that. Um, Another question. Hi, I want to know how do you balance between finding your style, subject matters that you enjoy, and targeting your audience. So, I guess it's not about balancing, but rather prioritizing. So I guess you should prioritize first doing or designing for subject matters that you enjoy. So when you do that, you'll be able to find your style along the way because if you'll notice na you're focusing on just yung mga subject matters that you enjoy, you're working on the things that you like or the things that you're interested in, or it's like you're bringing your toys and hobbies to work kasi yun nga yung in-enjoy mo. And with that, you find in that process your style kasi your style would spring out talaga with things that you like. It should be like that kasi you have to remain authentic, and if you fake it kasi you might get exhausted. So when you're doing that, when you're focusing on subject matters that you enjoy and then you start finding your style, your audience will follow. So susunod na lang sila and they will find your work kasi they'll see na yung work mo is very consistent, very true to your personality. And yun, so you'll find na magsusunod-sunod yung tatlong yan and then eventually mababalance out mo siya. But for me, I would prioritize yung three na to and then let it fall into place. Next, what if I want to start our own brand of shirts? What can you advise for starting brand designers and how to market it effectively? Thank you in advance. So I guess like all businesses, if it's gonna be a legit shirt business that you're gonna be starting up, maybe you have to do first talaga a feasibility study kasi it's a huge investment and it's a huge deal. So be sure na yung audience na tatargetin mo, what type of audience or what type of people, and you could start from there, and then from then on you could strategize what kind of design or concepts you'll be doing. Next, in handling different brands, how do you adjust your art or design style that will best suit them? Or are there any practices that you usually in order for you to be flexible in terms of designing? Um, okay, so if you have a certain style and then you have a client na kukuha sa'yo. Well, ano ba? Ideally kasi, if you're marketing a specific style consistently, you'll be attracting the clients who would want to um, capture that same style in their brands. But if not, and sometimes there are clients who would like midway change yung style na ginagawa mo. Which I've experienced before na initially they wanted to stick with my style and then midway they're focusing on their brand guidelines na lang. So it's really hard. But the thing is when you have a style, you're not for me, your style is not the visual look of your work. So hindi yung pagkakakamukha nung or pagkaka-identical ng works mo yung style mo. Your style would be how you work or how you solve design problems. So um, for example, my work with my work, there's a lot of color and I use a lot of vibrant tones because that's the solution that I want to offer with my clients. Na if I think this would be the solution for their design problem, then I would use that and offer it to them. So just don't be parang put in a box na since this is your style, you're gonna enforce it to every client. But I would suggest that your style would be the manner of work and the manner or the type of solution you offer to your clients. So if that's minimal design, for example, or colorful design, or mga detailed illustrations, that could be something. Um, when doing feasibility study on your target audience, is there a tool we can utilize to know if we have a great number of audience for our merch or product? Well, for now, actually, do not know, or I might have missed or forgot a tool that you could use to track that. But if someone does know something, please send it over to chat and so that we could also know what's a good tool in tracking the type of audience you have. Next, as a graphic designer, how do you establish and negotiate your rates to your clients? Um, I guess it's about computing lang um, the value of your work. Like, given your experience or the years that you've been designing, all the tools that you've purchased or all the classes that you've taken and yung mga ginastos mo doon, just think if worth it ba yung certain like price doon sa gagawin mong work for them. So I really don't like basing rates sa time kasi for me nga kapag mas mabilis gawin, mas high kung kukunin. Mas high ko siya bibigay kasi it took years before you knew or before you've learned to do it in a few hours or minutes. So I guess you use that as a starting point. Next, I think there's still a lot. Next, do you have to be consistent with your style or is it okay to change it from time to time? Especially when you suddenly experience a creative block or art block. Yes, you don't have to be super consistent with your style. It's very okay to change from time to time because this helps you exercise